There's been a lot of debate, strangely, regarding Nazis lately, and Bethesda was not worried about using such discussions to promote Wolfenstein 2. Thanks to all of that, I wanted to try out the first game, which comes bundled with its DLC prequel, to see if the game holds up. And given the current political climate, this game was very cathartic. And good too. The stories are honestly not the strongest point for me though. You play as a soldier named Blazkowicz, who is also unfortunately nicknamed BJ, but I will not make fun of him for it. I'll just imply I totally could. He has one desire. Multiple desires, but killing Nazis is among the highest there. In this world, Nazis won World War II thanks to the discovery of incredibly advanced technology. Because of BJ's failure to kill Death's Head, and even being captured by him, the Nazis won while he remained in a mental ward due to injuries he sustained from shrapnel after escaping the compound. But once he recovers, he goes back on the offensive, trying to find a resistance to combat the Nazi threat. This includes even going to space to kill some Nazis. And no, I'm not kidding about that one. And yes, it's as fun as it sounds. The game is also split into two timelines depending on who you choose for Death's Head to kill, but there's not many differences beyond how that certain character speaks, certain level moments, and who will be there for BJ to bond with. Because of that, both routes felt mostly the same, and the only other incentive to hook me is to get health and armor upgrades, as those are divided among each route. As such, I was never hooked on the other characters, and some development is a bit poorly handled despite the golden opportunity to do them right. What it does right, though, is know how to make the Nazis not only evil, but uncomfortably evil in certain scenes that definitely made me motivated to take them down. Granted, it already did that by weaponizing the poor dogs, and that alone made me want to carve my name into each individual's skin. The DLC, on the other hand, Old Blood, takes place before the main story, and sadly has some of the same problems as I wasn't too interested in the plot. The only thing that caught my attention was the Nazis trying to use the occult to win the war, which goes about as well as you expect, and is very entertaining for how ridiculous things become. I swear, the only thing missing were classic movie monsters. The gameplay, on the other hand, is thankfully satisfying. It's filled with some destructible cover depending on the weapons, each gun feels solid and has its use, and the game even encourages constant movement due to how easy it is to get swarmed. That, and you can accomplish certain achievements to further upgrade BJ, which can help influence how you play, although there is the occasional challenge where you may have to repeat certain chapters due to how specific they can be, which gets a bit annoying. Despite all the weapons feeling great, the weak link is the sniper rifle, as it isn't really all that effective, not even with headshots, and this was on frickin' normal. The routes also offer the occasional deviation from the path through either hot-wiring certain things or unlocking doors, but that's about it. And while you do sometimes get your weapons taken from you in a ton of chapters, you do gain upgrades to them that make me feel there is some kind of progression beyond just the achievement power-ups. And they stick with you throughout the game, so getting the collectibles or moving to a higher difficulty is significantly easier. The DLC doesn't have the same upgrades the main story gets, but some of the weapons operate mostly the same, that it wasn't much of an issue. Although this version's sniper rifle is significantly better, and actually useful. The weapons being taken away only bother me during the final level, where at one point all your weapons are confiscated when a robot just throws you through a door, which made absolutely no sense to me. What, did you get the Nazi version of the Flash to pickpocket me? The game also boasts a terrific cover mechanic, despite how weird it can feel and look. It is useful in finding where enemies are in stealth sections, especially at those moments like a radar or anything you normally have. It's also easy to get yourself caught, which will alert commanders and have them send even more enemies. Though honestly, as satisfying as it is to do a brutal stealth takedown, or using a throwdown knife that somehow manages to silently take out a target, your best weapon is a silenced pistol, as a headshot usually takes down a target quite easily. It was the weapon I often defaulted to in those situations. The stealth sections in the DLC, though, are actually harder, as they will have enemies that cannot be taken down the same way, and it's just a matter of avoiding their line of sight. These sections feel cramped, so chances are you're just gonna end up in a shootout anyway. And don't expect the same kind of experience something like Dishonored gives. And the beginning of the DLC is very reliant on stealth until the occult elements begin to get into the game, relying far more on action with the occasional optional stealth section later on. Other than that and the new enemies, it plays mostly the same, if a bit harder in some places due to lacking certain abilities and weapons from the main game. Plus, the headshot strategy I showed doesn't always work, which led to just me rapidly shooting them and somehow get away with it. Sometimes. I wish there were better extras though, as these gold pieces, they never interested me in the slightest. The Enigma codes, on the other hand, are far more important, as they can unlock new and interesting challenge modes should you solve the puzzles. While I was willing to do that for the main story to get some achievements, I wasn't motivated to do the same with the DLC. But within that one, you can at least unlock different challenges to play with the same stages. One fun thing to know is that you can actually play the old Wolfenstein games with a modern BJ, which are a nice distraction, if nothing else. The final verdict for Wolfenstein is buy it. The DLC is not really necessary, but given the cheapness of the dual pack, it's definitely worth your money. Even more surprising is that I rarely encounter annoying glitches, barring one regarding a collectible. I'm the smartest moron, and if you'll excuse me, I have to hug my doggies. They need to know they will not be turned into weapons of death. I suggest you do the same. Yes, even if it's a cat.